Welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is Wednesday. This is May 18th, 2016. And the title of tonight's webinar is How to Identify Swings and Which Ones to Trade. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading rooms, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we might have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we are going to get started. All right, I don't see any. I'm going to go ahead and get the question log flipped around here so that I can see the questions coming in, and we are ready to go. All right, I'm going to start this webinar again just like I did last week because I've had some people ask to kind of repeat some of that. So here we go. You should be able to see a chart. Now this is a chart that I personally have made up without bars or anything on it, okay? The reason for that is because I just want to see everything, you know, like in real time, so to speak, but also where I can see these numbers on the chart. And that's really all I want to see to show you some things on this chart. If you want to build a chart just like this, all you need to do is make sure to transparent out your data, your candle outline, your color for down bars, color for up bars, and your wick. Just transparent them out. That's all you need to do. Then you just simply put your indicators on the chart. And I have the horizontal line so we can see the line text, the toolbar, the 4 lightnings, and the predictor. And that's all I've got on the chart. Okay? That way you can have one just like this. And I just simply save mine as webinar. Okay? Because that's not a bad idea to have something like this. And you could even black out your background like I did here just by going to properties. You know, select a color background instead of black. It's just real easy to build this particular chart. But the main thing I want people to see on this chart is what you're really looking for in a trend. Now notice, I want to show you something here, and this is what this webinar is going to be about, is what we consider to be your identified type swings. Notice even on lightning 4 or 3, let's go to 3 first. All right, I'm going to go all the way up here. Notice how you can still get a yellow to green, 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 back down to a yellow to green, and just be in literal chop. Or you can have a yellow to green, right? And then you can have, so you've got your basically your green now here to down here. I mean, that's really showing you how deep this thing is able to go, right? You know, in other words, if you saw this on the chart, you're probably going to see prices just drop like a rock. Retrace a little and then they drop like a rock again. When they're going sideways like this, this still gives you the indication of which way the trend is actually going. Okay, now I don't recommend going back a long ways with these because you don't really need to. Okay, let me just show you something here. I like to just go to like a peak. And by the way, with the new one, sometimes you have to actually click these twice. I don't know why, but it doesn't bother me actually, so I guess it's okay. But notice here, what would be the overall direction of this particular trend right here if you were going to trade this? What do you feel that the overall trend is right here in this little area? I'm going to go ahead and change that so we can see it. We'll change that to like a white. I'll bet it'll show up. Okay. Double clicking will make it work. Absolutely, David. I've seen that too. Like I've started here and it starts printing here instead. All you do is click it again and it'll click right where you want it. Watch what I'm talking about. I'm holding Control key, click. Now that one worked, okay? Usually when it does it the first time, let me just go back here again. Hold the Control key down, click up here. And by the way, if you ever have a not showing the dots, you need to make the dots show. Okay? that'll make that work like that. But anyway, what would you overall think that this trend is right here? Right, exactly. Kenneth is saying slightly down, but also in a range. Okay, slightly down, but in a range. All right, now what you want to do also, though, is you want to go back on your chart, like to the left, and look where a bottom was or something like that. You're going to see these swings on those charts. That's how we draw them in the room. Right now on this chart, you're seeing only a bottom that's right through here, right? But you're not seeing all the way to the left of the chart either. Let's go on over here and see if we can find one. See if we can find something. It's been a while, hasn't it? There it's going, getting closer. Still all above that line so far, isn't it? Maybe I don't have enough data on there. Must not. That's okay. That's as far as we've gone down then, overnight. All right? But isn't this actually a little downtrend? Because you've got a high here, a low here, a high here, a low here. This is actually a 6-tick swing right here. So does that identify this swing? And the answer is yes. Everybody know what I mean, even new people. You know what I mean by an identified swing? Because it is absolutely critical to your trading. You don't want to go against the identified swing. Not really? Okay, let me just go over exactly. I'm going to just basically draw one down here. All right, now everybody knows that if you had prices going up like this, that doesn't tell you anything, right? You have to have a little retrace. Let's just pretend that we don't know anything back here. I just want to show you how to see an identified swing at any given moment in time. Okay, now to me, that's still not any kind of identified swing, is it? Because all you've got is a low, a high, and a higher low so far, but we really don't know until it takes out this high. See, this is the key to identifying a swing. Okay, this is your thrust, this is your retrace. What would it take to identify this swing? And it's really quite simple. It actually just has to close above that one. That's for your minor swings. Now you can say I want to close X ticks if you want to. You know, for instance, maybe I want to actually close the bar a good, 2 bars above it before I consider that identified. That's fine. But this swing is not identified until it is taken out. Okay? So in other words, you have a low, you've got a high, you've got a higher low. And when did you get a higher high? Only when that was taken out. It's the same way over here. So you have a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, because that obviously went from 1093.50 to 1092.90. So that's definitely a lower low, right? Then you have a lower high and another lower low. See there? Went down a couple of ticks anyway. And then you had what? Practically the same high. See there? And then what have you had since then? You've got a lower low, took out this low, and then this is where we're at right now. And you notice that we're not taking this out. So isn't that the definition of a downtrend? High, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, basically same high, lower low, lower high. And then let's go ahead and put lightning 1 on here to see what's actually transpiring as we speak. And that's exactly what we've got on the chart as we speak. Okay? Now, this is just to let you know what the trend is and to teach you what an identified swing is. Identified swings come in all flavors too. They come in lightning 1, lightning 2, lightning 3, and lightning 4. Okay? Now, everybody knows that when I draw lightning 4 in this chart, that's going to be your huge swing. So I'm going to go ahead and draw it. Backspace, hold it in, click. Notice how that does that like that? All you got to do is click a second time and it'll draw it. There we go. Okay? Now that's your lightning 4 right there, but it's still the same principle. It's totally the same principle. Now your lightning 3, let's go ahead and go back to one of these right here. This will be fine. You hold your control key down and you click. Okay, and this is lightning 3. Notice how you have a thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace. So where is the identified swing that I'm looking at right here? Well, you had a high, you had a low. When did this become identified? When it took this out. Okay? Now you didn't have to take it out by 100 ticks. You just have to basically take it out, and you kind of look to the left to trade the right, and you might see some other areas of support, and you might wait for them to break and come back and kiss. But an aggressive trader could actually even box this in and take that trade. Okay? Because that's what we do in the room. I'll show you these on the exact chart here in just a minute, because we've got that chart right here. Okay, this is exactly what we're looking at right here. And it's real. It's just simply not showing the prices, the backgrounds, and all that. But it's so that we can all see without all this, well, for lack of better terms, all this junk on the chart. Because this is kind of showing you where these swings are and things like that. And I personally think it has changed a lot of people's trading. I was talking to one of our subscribers just a little bit ago, as a matter of fact, and he said that this type of trading has changed the way he sees trades and likes the way we diagnose them in the room. Okay, so an identified swing is a swing that has just been taken out. That's exactly correct, Michael. Now, keep in mind, you want to be careful if they barely take it out and then they pop it right back above it. You've got to get out of that trade pretty quick. You remember when we got whacked a little bit this morning on oil? That was because they were playing their little games, but it was in a kind of a tight range to begin with, to be fair about it. But it did break those identified swings. So we got the trade. It just didn't get the scalp. And I showed it. It was down $300 before the open. Okay? And then we got a bunch back, obviously, with Russell, because I'll show you the trade we called here in just a little bit on Russell. This is not even close to the time of the open. You'll notice you're probably not even up this time yet. You know, this is around 6:14 in the morning. Okay? So I didn't trade this. I don't know what it's going to do, but I can tell you by looking at Lightning what it should do. Now, what would you think if you were looking at this chart and you're saying, okay, this is getting lower highs and lower lows, okay? And you can see this swing right here. That's at 1095.20. See it right there? And you can see this swing at 1092.40 right here, right? Like that. Now, a gutsy trader would do something like this even to box that in, okay? But if he breaks, or she breaks this little box here, they better be prepared just in case it pops back in it, okay? Because, you know, anytime you're in sideways chop like this, you know, don't give them a bunch of your coin, you know, just simply because you want to take these easier trades like this that may or may not work out. Now, I would not go with my long on until it actually took this out myself, because that's my identified swing. See it? You got a low, you got a high, you got a lower low. They've never taken that out, so that is my identified swing on my, you can see it right there, 1098.20. Let's see, that's 1095.70, sorry. It's that one right there. Everybody see that? That's your identified swing, because that's your low. Took out this low here. That's your identified swing. Okay? Now, before I go any further, does anybody not get that at all? Because, again, I personally believe it'll change your trading forever. Michael, you understand that now too, right? The identified swing? Absolutely. Good. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at a couple of ways to trade this. All right? Now, I see an identified swing also under here, right? You can clearly see it right there. Okay? So if you wanted to, if you're more of a conservative trader, you could wait till it breaks here. Okay? But keep in mind that this trader that actually boxes it in here, like so, has your same stop, unless this does a little zigzag. In other words, if let's say that I took a trade right here and it broke down below my line, okay, I'd still have to put my stop all the way up here, or at whatever the lightning swing looked like at the time. Everybody see that? That's why if you do box these in like around mid-band, to give an example, and let's say that you've only got a few ticks down to the bottom, well, more than likely you're going to either get this bottom or you're going to get really, really close to it, and then it's going to very possibly get a higher low and start stair-stepping back up to like Phantom or something like that. But would you be afraid to take that little trade right there? We'll go ahead and try it both ways just to see which everybody thinks works the best. Now, I also see on this chart what I call lightning 1. Let me just draw it from this side over here. All right, so see you have basically you got a low, you got a high. Scratch that because you got a lower low here. So start here, low, high, higher low, but it didn't really get a higher high, did it? Okay, and a lot of times they won't. That's why this is a little more dangerous trade to box it in like that. Everybody see what I'm talking about? Let me go ahead and just set this a little different color so you can see it. See if it's a little better. Yeah, that's better. Everybody see that? If I box it in like this with the bias to the downside, because I would absolutely have to take out 1095.70, see this right here, before it ever heads up. Okay? And trading with the trend, you're looking at a red midband, which gives you a little more detail than this, right? And you're looking at a red background. You're definitely looking at a stair-stepping down, Phantom even. See how it's stair-stepping down? Stair-stepping down over here. So that's kind of telling you that the trend is down, right? That's why we put these indicators on the charts. And by the way, when they first change, like to a red background and you know, the midband goes to the right color like this, look at that midband trade right there. Another midband trade right there. Even a third one here, which I probably wouldn't have touched because it didn't really take out the lows. But that was one that worked too, but that was your safest one right there, the first one right there. They always, more than likely, always double tap them. Okay? So let me ask a quick question. How many of you have been boxing it in a little too loose or even a little too tight? Because if you'll rely on your lightning swings, you won't really fall into that as much. Okay? But keep in mind that if they break this, for instance, if I'm saying, now right now we don't know if this is going to go up and test here. We have no idea, but if it does, it'll definitely identify this swing. Okay? Now, if I was going to change trends, I don't personally like to get into a leg one of a trend because usually what they do, they'll bounce off of a bottom, they'll shoot up something like to Phantom, they'll pull back into like midband and hold that support right through there, and then they'll take off like that. So you want to be careful. You know, for instance, if I was looking at this as my identified swing here, well, that's really close to a Phantom to begin with, isn't it? So why wouldn't I wait for it to thrust and pull back? I would. But going with the trend, I can box it in. Now, if I was to get a really tight box where they start really consolidating right around here and then they move up a little bit and then they start consolidating here, maybe I would take that. But until that background changes, you've got to be really careful with going against the trend. Let's see, the larger box doesn't have a lot to go to the ellipse. Should that be a consideration with that bigger box? Not necessarily, Kenneth, because you've got support right under here, and they've been testing the daylights out of it. You know, they tested it practically there, there, there. So if they do break it, then more than likely where this little patch of consolidation like this is going, they'll probably do something like that. Maybe even a little further, we don't know. But, you know, for lack of better terms, it's almost like they're building a house, so to speak, and they're building levels. You know, you ever notice that when they go sideways, then they'll pop up, they'll pull back, and they'll build another level, and then they'll pop up and build another level. But at the open, when we trade, that's when they do those monster moves. Always remember your first 30 minutes is absolutely your best bet at trading. Okay, I think Charles did a webinar on that over the weekend, didn't he? Trade that first hour. Let's see, like in GW saying, okay, like right now, let's go ahead and get rid of some of these lines on the chart and we'll look at this. All right, we know lightning is here. It's a double bottom so far, but lots of times you're not going to be able to see the double bottom until it's already bounced off of it, okay? And we're still looking for shorts right now anyway, because we do have a high, a low, a lower high, same low, so they're kind of sideways. So you basically try to trade this either direction, but I personally would not take this. And you're going to find a lot of times until they take out these ellipses are pretty well established on that chart. When they start taking out that ellipse, if it's this one that is, then they'll more than likely pop up and pull back anyway. You'll usually get a chance to get in them. But isn't this just pretty much sideways right now? Right? But overall, if you look at the overall move, it's like, whoa, monster move down. So what I usually do is put a line at the swing. All right, that's a huge swing, right? Because that's what we can see overnight. And I'd put another swing line right across here, just in case later we break up. And if you remember in the room this morning, we actually even drew on our chart, and this trade, remember, was also on our chart, and we also drew this one right here. Everybody remember that? I'm sure you do, because that trade was actually called out at that 11:08.80, because I said live in the room, that's where it broke down hard. Remember? So I like to mark on my charts like that. And I think it's really important to mark on your charts, and you'll find that you can get some pretty good trades that way. Let's go ahead and see if we can trade it. I'm going to get rid of all the lines on it except our lightning, and we'll put Object Trader on the chart. Now, Object Trader, we've got Replay 101, okay, right now. And naturally in Replay 101 is the only way I can really do a webinar, because there's just no way to do anything but kind of speed this stuff up and see if we can get some trades. That's weird. Why didn't it get rid of my ellipse too? It locked. There we go. All right. So let's go ahead and do a region. Now remember, I said until it actually breaks this area up here, I'm not real comfortable with taking it long. Thrust, retrace thrust. That's technically what I call your medium swing right here. See this 1096.60? I'll draw a line there. Because if you look, you had thrust, retrace, thrust, and these are pretty much the same bottoms. But you can also, go back on your chart and kind of see if they step down at all, and then they quit stepping down, you still got to go to your identified swing. Everybody see that? Never took out this low, so that's your identified swing. And that one is your secondary medium swing. Okay, so we're ready to trade it. Let's just do it. So we'll hit Insert. Personally, I'd do it something like this actually to begin with, because I think it would hit its head there and probably even hit its head here even. But if it hit its head here, that would be a very good area for it to hit its head, because that's kind of not been tested real hard just yet. So we'll do a short inside or a short outside like this. And let's just watch it for a minute and see if we can get a better trade than even this. Now I kind of like that even myself if it pops up above here. See that right there? It's trying to. It's a tick above it. It hadn't closed, but it's actually telling you that this could be a micro swing. We don't know for sure. I'd rather it close, because then lightning would do this, draw and draw. Okay, it's hitting its head at resistance. We got 3 on. When if it fires, that is. Now it's already tested here, right here. So technically it should just test here where that line's drawn. See it? Always look to see them test it twice, and you'll see on looking to the left. And then it's already tested all the way down in here too. So if this does break, where would your first target be? Well, it would be there, not much of a target, right? Then it would be across there, see that swing there? And then it would be right here. And we'll more than likely have an ellipse show up that'll actually target it for us. See if we can get something. Is that where you would box that in, by the way? Does everybody like that? Now always move one of your targets out of the way. And then ride your lightning. Can you please explain what swing is tested? If that same swing will be tested again? You weren't very clear on that as much? Okay. Let me just show it to you, because you got to kind of train your eye to see it. And you'll notice when we draw in that room, it's pretty accurate. But let's go ahead and finish this trade out just real quick. Now see, most every time they thrust down, you'll be up with 3 contracts, and then they'll bring you right back to break even, more than likely. You know, you can't just jump out of them. You got to get that first scalp. See, I've got that first scalp at 5 ticks. And that's right on this line. Now look where the ellipse is saying it should head to. So let's draw another line right there at that ellipse and see if we can get it. And if it takes it out, hey, that's even better, right? Okay, now real quick. Looking at lightning, what we call identified swings, where would you want your stop on this chart? Wouldn't it be right here? Right where that identified swing is? Exit on close. Put it just above that swing, like that. Because if it's going to zigzag down, it can't take that out. Now, if it bounces off a bottom, it certainly can. And sometimes you got to protect some coin, but we already have. We just got one left on. We'll go ahead and move this out of the way because our target can be, let's see. I'll bet you it'll hit its head. Twice that it hit right there, didn't it? Let's see what it does. See if it takes it out. And just follow lightning down. The one thing that's so beautiful about lightning is that when it identifies a swing, you can take it to the bank that unless it's going to just take you out, and it can take you out, but the overall definition of a trend, even on a micro trend, is lower highs and lower lows for a short and vice versa for a long. So closes below, where's our swing on this chart? It's right there. See there? That's why, I don't really go as much. Now, I know Charles likes to trade NQ, and NQ's got a little deeper retraces and stuff, but you don't have to let, a trade go 25, 30 ticks back against you. I mean, they're great if you want to hold them all day sometimes, but let's face it, by the time it drops 30, 40 ticks, you're probably going to get out of it anyway, right? Obviously. But lightning will keep you in a trade based on the lightning swing itself. And if you're one of those that wants to stay in a little longer, go the secondary one back. In other words, here's a swing here. Now here's another one. Stay with the back one. That'll give you a little bit, higher leverage as far as, where this thing's going to very possibly come and wick this or something. But to me, that's your stop. I just absolutely see that as a lightning swing. Everybody see that? You can always lag it back just a little bit, put it right on it if you want. Just make sure exit on close is turned on. Don't use reverse at, because those two together aren't working quite the way they should. They will be very soon. That looks like a pretty good drop, by the way. Looks like a pretty good drop. Now, looking at the way we teach lightning, not looking at an overall longer trend, what would it take to change the trend direction of this particular chart? Anybody? Well, if you're a gutsy trader, let me show you one, because I already see it. Wouldn't it be right across here? If that was to come back through there, wouldn't that very possibly be, well, you got lightning straight down, right? Zigzagging down. And we don't know, it hadn't done a little thrust back up yet and rolled over, so we know this is our identified swing. Everybody sees why these are identified, just like I taught a little bit earlier. Takes out the low, identified, takes out the low, identified, takes out the low, identified. Each time these take out these lows, it's identifying those swings. Okay? Now, by the way, if you are a gutsy trader and you want to take a chance with some of these lightning swings, you know, for instance, there's a lot of traders that trade double bottoms. Okay? Now, I wouldn't recommend it right off. See, like, for instance, that's testing, that swing right there. That was actually just a decent opportunity to what? Well, how about this? How about shorting a couple of more? Because it just hit resistance. Now, my identified swing is where? Well, my identified swing is right there. So I would bring my stop down just right there, for instance, just a little above the swing. But see, when it came back and kissed that swing, it was kind of telling me, well, it's either going to break it and take me out anyway, or maybe I can get a little quick trade with an extra couple of contracts. I can always do this too. I can get rid of all of them when it comes down there except one, right? See how much that adds to your bottom line? Now, where's our identified swing on this chart? Right this very second, where's our identified swing on this chart? It's right there. Could I? Maybe for a quick, like even 5 ticks if it comes up and takes that out? Could I? That's what we call definitely a counter trend trade, but is that my identified swing right there? Yay or nay? It is. I would be watching it. That looks like a double bottom to me, by the way. Sometimes you can take them quicker than that because that double bottomed right there, and now it's just testing our identified swing. Everybody sees that, right? All I'm trying to do is get like 5 ticks with 4 contracts. Now, I would definitely put my stop right under lightning, right? Now, it hadn't really formed it yet, but this is also like a little micro lightning, even when they do a down candle and an up candle back. There we go. We just got an extra 5 ticks. That was based strictly on, and look at there. Now, that's breaking lightning, by the way. See it right there? Now, it's too late now, okay? Once it pops like that, it's too late, okay? Now, let's look and see where lightning was. That's a phantom type trade. Phantom, first time in, still rose-colored mid-band. And this was right at the open. Does everybody remember this particular trade to begin with? Because that was our 831 Band-Aid right there. See it? It's printing it on the chart. So I shorted a little bit earlier than that, right? Because it hit phantom and rolled over. Okay, now since I've only got one target because I forgot to turn any more on, I'm going to just have to live with this. Okay, now looking at this chart, what is actually seeming to happen? A double bottom, a thrust, a retrace. And let's diagnose it ahead of time because we did this in real time in the room this morning, okay? I see personally, let's just kill this trade, I don't care. Right on top of here, that's your swing where they broke out. There's another one right there. Everybody see that? Now, by the way, you could have taken it again right there because it just came down to lightning. We missed that one, though. Usually be careful with that because, as a rule, you want an A, a B, and a C. I would probably, with that Band-Aid being on, take this trade to even try to get down to here, simply because of the opening Band-Aid. See if we can get anything. If it takes this out, all bets are off. It's inside our box. I'd probably at least try to get down to mid-band. And as soon as this bar closes, I'm going to make this stop a heck of a lot tighter than 12 ticks. As soon as it makes a little lightning. Now keep in mind that is what we call a phantom trade. It's still got a short background so far. Okay? But if we keep getting higher lows and higher highs, then obviously this thing is going to head up, not down. All right, we're going to see if we're going to get it or not. Now, if you get in a trade like this and you just want to get out, see this is kind of breaking a little bit, but you've got an A, a B. Hopefully this holds. All right. If it doesn't, then we'll just get taken out. I would probably, by the time this popped above that box, just simply do this. Wait on the trade. All right. Because now what we've got to have, thrust, retrace, we've got to take this out right here and come back and kiss, or we've got to come down into the area where it kind of broke out, which would be right across there. I'd draw two lines on the chart like that. If it comes down anywhere between those two lines and bounces, I'd probably get in the trade. Let's see if we get anything. This is just 2 minutes after the bell, by the way. Does everybody remember this? We even called it in the room and said, hey, look, got a mid-band just turned green. We're looking for a pullback. And don't you have drawn on your charts where that pullback's going to be? Well, it's got to at least be to here because it's already tested here. Everybody see that? That's what I think, who was asking that just a minute ago? Okay, it's testing right there at that lightning. But its big break was right above here, wasn't it? Thrust. And by the way, you can do this to where you just simply look for the little boxes to form, okay? Or trend lines or something like that. You know, for instance, I see a trade like right here, right this very second. See it? Lightning. I see a trade right there if it bounces. Matter of fact, I would probably do this. Like that. See it? It's right on top of support. And the trend changed. You've got a high, a low, and even a little higher high. So it did barely change. And now you've got a low, a high, and a higher low here so far. Oh, I forgot to do the... Yeah, we don't want to add that many more. We'll just add 2. Remember this trade in the room this morning? Remember how it was boxed in? Everybody remember that? All right, we just got us a target. Now, let's look at this thing and see if we, well, we got another entry right then because I had bar close turned on. We got 2 contracts on. Going to move these out of the way. Now, all the time when they do this, look at your lightning. High, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. But now it's taking out the swing. It's coming back to kiss it, right? It can't take out this lightning right here. That's your identified swing. It's going to test it. Okay, watch it, see if it doesn't bounce. Everybody see that, what I'm looking at? And I'm going to put on exit on close because I don't want them just to take me out for the fun of it. See how it wicked my line? All three of those bars just wicked it. May not still wick it, we'll find out. Now, do you see another way you can trade this too? The way we teach in the room? Let me show you if you missed this trade entirely. Let's back this off for just a second. I'll show you how to take this trade. That's control, isn't it? No? All right. Let's get rid of all the lines. I would box it right across here myself, like so. So we need a region. May not get it if I don't get it moving. And long out and short out. That's good enough. Everybody see that? That's where we said to box it in this morning. Now let me ask you a question. If this is to pop up, looking at lightning just exactly the way we teach it, what do you think is going to happen on this chart? Well, first off, it's going to try to take this swing right here if it breaks up. And we don't know if it's going to break up just yet, but we boxed this morning in the room, remember it? We had a green background and a green midband. Short is not enabled, you're right. There we go. Thank you. Now, what if you were the type of trader that thought, you know what, I'm not going to take this thing until it at least breaks out of this. See this little thrust, retrace? You're getting higher low here, but you got the same low right there too with that wick. So really, we're not heading up until we take this out, are we? Let me show you how to, if you want to. I'll get these out of the way while I talk. This is that trade we took this morning in the room. But isn't there another trade actually sitting up on that chart as we speak? Watch and see if you don't see it. Remember how we teach it? What if it breaks here and comes back and kisses anywhere close to it? Let's watch and see if it does it. Where's our lightning swing? Right underneath midband. So couldn't we put our stop underneath midband? Still not making hardly anything on this trade just yet. That's what they do a lot of times. Lightning's right there. Right where my cursor's at. Notice how it came right back on top of here, by the way. Almost on top of your box. Can't we also wait for it to come back to here? You want to see if it can? Let's see if it comes back and kisses that box. Lightning swing is right across there. Why won't that move? Is it locked? There we go. Here we go. Everybody see it coming back to here? You can also see it's kind of kissing that trend line right there too if you draw on your charts. Why won't you draw? Ninja's acting up, but anyway, we should get a trade. If it kisses right here or this bar closes up, I'm going to take this because here's a swing and there's a swing. There we go. We just added some contracts. Stop on this would be just underneath the swing. Shouldn't take it out. Everybody see that? How to add on that? Now, I don't believe as much in starting with like, well, to give an example, if you start with like 10, 15 contracts on a trade and it goes against you, for lack of better terms, you're going to get your rear end kicked. You know, I'm not into that myself. If you start with a couple and you see it doing the zigzag like I just saw that happen right there, then yeah, you can add. But be cautious, because now that we've touched this top here, what do we expect? We expect to take it out the next time, or at least kiss it, right? So since we got this many contracts on here, we could go ahead and bring one of our targets right down there on top, like so. And watch for the ellipse to form. Everybody see that? See how easy it is to actually look at lightning on your chart? For every thrust, there's a retrace. And you can clearly see that it goes just like this. A thrust. What in the world, Ninja? Just a second. Let me build another chart and see if it'll quit doing whatever it's doing. Hopefully it's just that chart somehow is acting up. See if we can get another chart here. Now that's got Rankos on it, but I can change that. I want to show you how this absolutely does all the time. And like I said, this will change your trading. It really will. Because you'll notice when this thrust up here and pull back, it thrust up again. Where did it pull back into? Right where we thought it would. Where do you think it'll more than likely pull back again? What do you think? If this thrusts up, don't you think you could pretty much put a trade right around there? That's what we do in that room all the time, is we look for these thrusts and these retraces. Okay, now that's a pretty good thrust right there, wouldn't you say? And it depends where you want your stop. You can put your stop underneath lightning, or you could put it right, for instance, like that right there. Okay, if it comes down and kisses that. Let's go back to that other chart though. Where did it go? This one. And I'll put this always on top so we can see it. Does everybody see that, right? Let's draw the lightning so you can. See where you thrust, you retrace, right? You thrust, where does it come back? Right on top of the swing. All right, thrust again. Didn't come back on the swing, did it? How many want to bet it will? More than likely come really, really close to it. Because where they break out, they usually test. Now, right now, we're just running like a big dog, and that's fine. You just stay in the trade, right? But does everybody see that you can clearly tell that you got a place for your next trade? As a matter of fact, you got a high, a low, higher high. Okay, this is what I call your minor swing right now, because it hadn't taken out the top. That's your identified swing. When I have one close like that, I even go back one just to check it. And then if I see a swing right to the left, I even bring it down a little bit further if you want to hold this trade, okay? But that's where it should more than likely hit its head if it does any kind of a retrace. And as a trader, we can actually, and why didn't that stay? I put it always on top. Now my other one didn't stay, just a second. Here we go. All right, I'm going to bring it like this so we can see them side by side. Okay, now isn't lightning right underneath here? Well, we're flat because we hit a target, so we're not in a trade right now. Now, what if I'm a gutsy trader and I see lightning sitting right here, and I actually want to try that? Matter of fact, it just took it out a little bit. See it right there? There's my target right on top of that swing. Could I actually try that? Well, I should have waited for it to close. I may regret this one. But it came a little bit below the swing, so we'll just try it, see if it'll get it. Otherwise, I'm going to get stopped out. But couldn't I be over on this chart also, watching this trade and setting up my object trader? And look where that's at. Right on top of that swing is mid-band. See if we can get it. Now somebody thinks, well, why in the world would you short that up there? Well, it took out lightning. Now, if it's not going to continue taking out lightning, I made a bad decision, didn't I? But if it'll just give me, usually when I do a short like this, though, I always turn off most of my targets and just go for like 5 ticks or something like that, because you can get those usually pretty easy. See, it took out lightning. Lightning was right across here. It tested it. It's holding as resistance. That's a counter trend trade, but we're also getting ready to trade it hopefully long when it comes down here. Thrust, retrace, big thrust up, big a priori swing. Matter of fact, I'd probably put it right there. See, that's the swing right there, and that's mid-band. Does anybody remember that trade in the room this morning? Because I'm almost positive that it got it. Let's see, will impulse moves also retrace to the thrust price level? GW, on your question, what you're really looking at all times on your chart on what I call the micro trend is upward momentum, loses momentum, takes out lightning, downward momentum. Be careful, though, going against the trend, especially if you get around mid-bands. I could even hit this close, for instance, and I probably should have already, because that was really close to where I wanted to get, right? I could have gotten an easily 5 ticks. And with 3 contracts, that's $150. That adds up. Now I may bounce through here, so what would I do? Well, if it takes this out, I'm going to reverse it. It's going to have to take that out right there. That's resistance. I'm not going to use exit on close because that part's not turning back off. It held support or resistance. Got touch plus 2 on here. Let's go ahead and do a few contracts if we can get down there. I'm not going to reverse that actually, because you'd have to take out the top, pull back and kiss it. I'm not going to let them just wick me into a trade. So far they've done an A, a B, yeah, see there, C. So anyway, you notice that we could have gotten 5 ticks on that trade though. Okay. You want to try it again with lightning? Well, it took out that little swing there. There's lightning right there. If I want to, I could actually wait for it just to take out my lightning. Or when I get like a double top, to give an example, there's a swing right there. There's a trend line. It breaks that swing right there. Little thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust. That's what we call the micro swing right there. Now this is probably a little more risky trade, but we're just trying to get down to here. Not going to turn it on again until it, now it will, because it will close below that if it closes down. There we go. We want to take our profit at least, we'll just go for like 5 and 6 ticks, something like that. Just at that swing. That's all we care about. You see what they're doing right now? They're in a little bit of a range. Now keep in mind, this trade right here, you just want to do on a separate chart, because our overall trend is up, so we're not looking to short this market. Only if you see some trades that you think you can get with lightning. Kind of like boxing it in, right? We've got a lot of traders that do this, and they do pretty successfully at it. Let's speed it up a little bit. We're almost out of time. Didn't get our 5 ticks yet, did we? It'll take that little area out right there. See if we can get it. Now, if this doesn't go ahead and close like below this line, I'd probably hit close because this could still head up. Matter of fact, it did. Hit its head, and we're still okay. Felt some heat on that one, though. Let's see if we can get this trade right here. We had this trade drawn in the room live. Remember, I had a line in the room this morning on Russell for it to come right down here. And by the way, couldn't you also see that you could actually do like a little breakup above resistance even? Let's see if we can figure where to get in this thing. Should have already grabbed it, but let's just wait. It's a little sideways right now. There's another lightning short, by the way. See it take out lightning. I would have done it on 5 ticks, though. And strictly trying to get my little swing. All right, let's see if we can get something. We're not going to take a breakout trade because obviously that's where it would hit its head to begin with. We're trying to get a retracement, but it hadn't come down to midband yet. So I'm going to turn this off, this on. There's our little midband coming up there. Actually, it just didn't come down quite far enough. It came only to support. So we did miss that trade. There's another lightning swing right there that you could certainly take. Right across there. Stop would be underneath lightning because that did break, didn't it? Didn't quite come as low as we wanted it to. See, it came just on top of our little ellipse there. But it did break to the upside, and we're happy with it. If they don't come down, what you've got to do is you've got to take the lightning. Okay, should hit its head right there on the chart if it comes down at all. And I'm going to go ahead and bring my stop just under there. And by the way, if I wasn't in 4, you could add when it takes out that little swing right there. It's up to you on that. Stop would be underneath lightning. Like that. It's not a bad way to trade. You know, if they don't come down to your support, you got to kind of look at those ellipses. But sometimes if they don't touch the ellipses, you got to kind of look at the support. We were too busy over here trying to short it. But look how it just kissed along in here. It didn't quite come down to there. See there? And unfortunately, even region didn't catch it. But your lightning swing did. Right? And now you're in a trade again. And I don't personally use this 12-tick break-even stop. I use lightning. We've got that automatically defaulted at 12. And it goes to automatically to break even. I don't use that usually. I've usually got that turned off. Lightning is where right there. And by the way, when you see this type of thing, you don't even have to give up any of your contracts if you don't want to. But be careful because with 4 contracts, if I come back 12 ticks, I'm going to erase $480 of that. Okay? Where can it not come any lower than right now? Well, it can't come any lower than right there where my cursor's at because that's a lightning. What do we call it at the beginning of the webinar? It's a lightning identified swing. Where's lightning going to be identified here in a second? It's almost there. Not yet. So where's the identified swing? It's right here. See, they'll try to wick these areas until they identify them. Everybody sees that, right? Let me just beef this chart up so you can see it. See how it came right down there? Now if it breaks this, now that it's identified, see it took out this swing, it's identified. Stop could go right underneath there, exit on close. And then what do you do as a trader? Well, you just simply follow the thing up as far as it wants to go with lightning. Now, if your stop's all the way back here like 15 ticks, you don't want to really hold on to 4 contracts, right? This should hold that swing right there if it's going to head up. Watch and see. See there? Higher low. Now, usually when I see this happen in real time, I take a couple off like right here and just hold 2. See there? They hold your lightning swings. Lightning identified swings can be the absolute best friend you ever had in trading. They work on minor charts. They work on medium charts. They work on all 4 lightnings. The only thing you want to be careful of is taking what are called breakout trades, okay? Because a breakout trade will usually, as a rule, break out just a little bit below like a swing or above a swing, and then they'll pull back into the previous other area. Like right now, Russell is trying its dead level best to check right here, right? Well, if you weren't even in the trade yet, could you see that that came down and almost kissed that? Could you have just said, you know what, I think I'll take that because that's holding above there. You know, that's a pretty good run. I could always put a stop underneath here, right? Comes down and kisses that line like that. We've got 4 in. Let's just see if now our lightning swing's got a hold right there for right now. So I'm giving this a 12 tick stop because that's my lightning swing. Oh, we got 8 now. That's a little too much. But well, anyway, we're okay. Now everybody see where your lightning swing is on this chart again? This was not identified right here at the time. See how it had a high here, a low here? That's what I call your micro. Your secondary is all the way down here. Okay, notice how that kind of came down. Matter of fact, we actually got out of that trade and right back into it this morning, just like I did just then, because I didn't want them to come back that far against me. So I just simply got back in when they popped, held support, higher low, and they popped up. And that's the way to trade it. Lightning really, really works. This is always being recorded, Pete. Absolutely. Keep in mind, when you use lightning swings, the minor one, you got to be a little more careful of. Look back a little bit more to your secondary swing, okay? Or what you might even call, for basically just a higher, for instance, in a long trend like we're in, you know, you can clearly see that we had a high, we had a low, we had a higher high. That's still a higher low than there, isn't it? That's what you want when you're heading up. When they start consolidating, trying to go back down, they'll test that swing. They'll oscillate around it for a long time. They may even go back to the top and test it, and then they'll roll over and take it out. Okay? Everybody going to trade like this tomorrow? You don't have to hold on to pullbacks all the way to mid-band if you don't want to. Lightning will keep you in a trade if you draw it on your charts. Notice how lightning's not even drawing right now because this is going up so profusely that it's not even being able to do enough of a, there it did just now. Where's your lightning swing on this? It's right here, right? Would you let it go back that far though? Not on your life. Definitely not on your life, because that would be way too far, wouldn't it? So I would watch and see that I get a little support, hopefully like right under here. See where they tried to roll over a little bit? I'd want that to hold, because I consider that, even though it didn't draw here, I still consider that a little bit of a lightning swing right there. Okay, because it went thrust, little retrace, thrust. So that's like a little shelf. Okay? Watch and see if it doesn't hold, and then I'll wrap. maybe not 4. Should hold. It's wicking it. There it held. See it? You can almost literally tell on your charts where they're going to hit their heads and give you the best trades if you just simply watch Identified Lightning. If you walked in the room just right now for the first time, can you see that lightning's right there? See, so couldn't you box this in if you weren't even in this trade yet? Couldn't you see that basically resistance is right there? You know, if this was to pop up above that, couldn't I just like that? See there? It just took out resistance. Is that a bad trade? No. It took out lightning. Identified Lightning will absolutely change your way of trading forever if you just learn to see it on the charts. Next week, I'll even go over more where even in choppy, that you're going to be able to tell right where the swings are that have been tested. Now, they usually test them twice, but sometimes they'll test them even 3 times. But if you learn to watch for the 2 test, as a rule, you'll see where they've already been. Now, it's not what I consider 100% guarantee on that one, but it works quite well. Okay, where do you think this one was going to bounce? Well, it already did. Came right down to lightning. See it right there? And where's the lightning identified swing if it heads down? It's right there. Okay. Thanks everyone for coming. I'll have this up on the website in just a matter of next few minutes. Matter of fact, it's already posted, but it's showing that it's a bad page. That's because the video hasn't been uploaded yet. All right, just watch it over and over, Ron says. Absolutely. You'll notice that if you watch lightning, you can make some pretty good trades. Occasionally, if they don't give you a little pop like they did on oil this morning, you know, if you do a couple of contracts, you're going to get down pretty easily, you know, a couple of $300, very possibly on 2 or 3 trades, right? But then you just got to do what we did, right? We kind of waited till the open of the market. We were down 300 when it started. Made it all back on oil inventory. This is lightning 1 right here. This is just strictly lightning 1. Okay. By the way, where do you think that should actually more than likely bounce? But what if it takes out this lightning right here? Could it be that this is maybe going to be a trend change? I'm going to turn that on. Everybody see why? Took out Identified Lightning. Actually, Identified Lightning was even right here. Notice how it barely took it out. When it's above midband like that, you got to be really careful. But when it took out that secondary one right there, I was pretty sure that it was going to change. Now, if you got about 2 more minutes, I'm going to show you where the next trade is on this chart because you should be able to see it already. I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Pretend you didn't take this trade at all. Where's the next trade on this chart based on what I taught tonight? What do you think? Well, first you got to get a thrust down. We talk about this. Thrust down, retrace. Where did it break down? It broke down right through here, didn't it? Now, if it breaks this again, by the way, see it just kissed resistance right there. You could actually take this again right there when it goes underneath that line. We called that this morning. But if you missed this, where do you think the next trade is? Well, I'll go over that, what I'm going to go over next week, just real quick, because you can see it on this chart real easily. And then I will wrap. I'm going to take this off. I got this going pretty quick too. Bear with me a second. I've got that chart up front, so I'm going to have to turn the chart off up front first. Ah, you little rat. That's why I never like to use upfront charts. You know why? Because if you do use where you do them always on top, like that, you can get those windows behind it. Okay, now where does everybody think that more than likely this is going to retrace to now? How about right there? Everybody see that? Thrust. Lightning, by the way, I'll go ahead and draw it. Thrust, retrace, thrust down. Tested here. Didn't test here yet. It tested a little higher even, tried to get up to here, but couldn't. But it has not been to here. So what do you think? Pretty good chance that you've got you a trade sitting right in here and possibly even between those two lines, like right there. Let's just see if it did. And then we're going to wrap. And I'm not going to be able to trade it because it's going to go fast. There it is right there. See it? That's the trade. I can still get it. That was that second check. See it testing right exactly where we said it would do it? Previous levels, absolutely. You learn to see these lightning swings, and again, it'll change your trading for absolutely forever. And then you just simply move your targets out of the way, move your stops even with lightning as soon as it forms. As soon as it closes below there, that's your stop. All right, thanks everyone. Hope you enjoyed it, and it will be posted actually in about the next 15 minutes. Thanks. Yeah, I did call that one exactly. MG Max said this isn't, anything but true stuff that was actually called in the room. We called that trade right there and drew those two lines. Now, you think that's not a good way to trade? Breaks down, it's going to kiss. Breaks up, it's going to kiss. That's all there is to it. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.